If anybody has any aspirations, by the way, of video interpreting, ooh, you really got to get used to that, right? Because you don't have any inkling what's coming in on that call. And if you do video interpreting and all of a sudden someone comes up and you can't just switch it out. They're really getting very strict about what you can switch out and what you can't, right? You're getting penalized for saying, I don't believe this, and this isn't good for me, so I'm just going to switch this to another interpreter. There's consequences to that now, and so we really have to maintain our professionalism and give that person the access they deserve to the message that's being heard. And that's just what we have to do, and religious interpreting really isn't that much different. So, these are resources that I use. These are resources that I use on a pretty regular basis to help me produce the best message that I can for whatever setting that I'm doing. This particular one is Bible Gateway. It's a website that has all different kinds of resources on it, but what I like about it is I can quickly switch between translations. When I'm taking a look at a piece of scripture, I am oftentimes wanting to see it in another translation to help me gain some introspect on what's going on, because sometimes just having a little switch in words can help me get some ideas on how to interpret something. And so Bible Gateway is a great way. I can look at it in the NIV, the New International Version. I can look at it in the EASV. I can look at it in the Message, which is like this really casual register. It's not really a translation, it's a paraphrase. So you have those available to you. Bible dictionaries are great for goofy words that come up, right? When you're getting music, of course, you can access just about any music on the internet. Just about anything, right? If they give you a topic, you go to it. You can go to YouTube and hear the song. Because most songs, YouTube is just rampant with all kinds of church songs. You will most likely find something available on YouTube. This is how I think. And then what I tend to do is, depending on how I approach my work and what kind of interpretation I do, sometimes I'll have the typed lyric here, and then I'll have all capital letters of what I want to sign for it, and then the regular lyric, and then the capital lines of my gloss. So I alternate that, and then I highlight with yellow my gloss so it really pops out. But if I do it all gloss, then it doesn't make any sense to me, because then I lose where I am in the song. So I have done that, and sometimes I just spend a lot of time in the music, and I just, it depends on how complicated the song is, and if they're copying, if they're not copying me. We'll talk about approach to music in a little bit. Of course, YouTube. Who doesn't have a friend on YouTube doing something, right? Everything is there. Everything is there. And I have some examples of that I'm going to show in a moment. Deaf pastors and deaf leaders are great resources. They have, it depends on who it is and depends on how you ask them. Sometimes if you go, what's the sign for? We really got to get out of the habit of asking deaf people what the sign for something is, because they don't approach it in the context that it appears in. And sometimes I get asked by the deaf person, what does this word mean in this context? And so sometimes you have to kind of partner with them, but you say, remember when you were talking about this and this and this and this, and tell me a little bit more about that. And all of a sudden they'll just give me exactly what I'm looking for. But I don't want to ask them what's the sign for, right? Because I'm going to get one little sign that's really not going to be very helpful to me. But if I get them talking about the general context, I get so much more. And I approach that also with deaf people that I work with in the congregation, that, what? If I want to know something, and this is one of my classic examples, is we had a deaf couple that liked a lot of signing more English when they were with interpreters and with hearing people, and they were proud of their English ability. So after this particular song, and it was called Jerusalem, My Destiny, it was a song about my journey, right? It says, this journey is my destiny. That's how the song ends, right? I cannot ignore what's going on. This journey is my destiny. So I don't sign journey like a trip, right? I sign journey like this. My life every day. Right? So this experience that I'm having here, this is my journey, right? And so, of course, the deaf person came up to me and wanted to teach me to sign for journey. And so that opened up a great dialogue. And how we enter in those dialogues with the deaf people that we work with is so important, because it can either make for a great relationship or it can shut them down very quickly. We did this survey. I actually founded an organization called the Wisconsin Registry of Christian Interpreters, and we did this survey, and Marika was actually the signer. Did you ever see that survey?
Mm-hmm.
It's very awesome. Marika's signing the questions, and then people could click on, you know, the answers to them. We just wanted to know, what are you guys experiencing in the religious setting? And one of the things that they said was, I tried to give my interpreter feedback, and they got upset, right? And that should never happen, ever. No excuses, no defensiveness. Thank you is the only word that should be coming out of my hands, right? So, but this person's giving me feedback, and I'm like, well, thank you. Yes, this is trip. I said, what is this sign? I said, what does that sign mean? He goes, it's like trip. And but that's not talking about trip. So what's another way you would do that? He goes, well, it's like, he gave me something else there. So if I would have just asked him, what's the sign for journey, he would have gone trip. But because we had the dialogue, he gave me this, and then I used that from him. So how we partner, it's not just I'm not the only one that has the resources to do this. And the places I look up on the computer are not the only places. I have human resources that I can look to and have that discussion if they're willing to. Some deaf people are like, you know, it ain't my responsibility to grow you. So I'm really okay not giving you feedback. I want to be here, and I want to be just like everybody else. I want to leave. I don't want to have to thank you for anything. I just want to be a regular member. Some deaf people want to gush all over you, and some people are really interested in growing. You know, and that's the variety that you work with. So these are great resources, right? These guys are not too bad too. They're not bad.
I had a priest.
Yeah, these guys. And sometimes they kind of fearful of me sometimes, because it's almost like Stump the Chump day for Teresa, because here I am. I'm asking them these questions like, well, how come it is in this? Because I want to get this really good concept here, and I really want to do something with it, but I need just this little piece of cultural context to get what I need. And so then they feel bad that they don't know, because they should know. So, but there are some times where the people that I like to ask, the priests, if they have time. But really, in a church setting, you have people like liturgy directors or the head of worship. Oftentimes, are very versed in the Bible and can give you some good information as well. And I found those to be very good resources. But be respectful and understanding of their time, because they're doing just as much prep as you are before a worship setting, and they really don't need an entourage of people going, "Can you answer a question for me? I didn't know what that was in the Bible." Could you know? Sometimes it's difficult, so those soft skills that we'll talk about in a little bit will help you. Interpreting community. There's lots of interpreters who would love to mentor you in this setting. You know, we are an open book. You want to come work with us, you just come anytime, and we'll talk with you afterwards if we have the time. We'll set up some time. We really are very good about that. We want more people in it. You know, we really want more people to have the same kind of enjoyment we do in the setting. And then this would be the fun. I love, and I'm going to go ahead and switch molds here for a second. And I want to show you first. Nope, hold on. Can I get it? Hold on. I thought I had it up. Give me just a second here. I got it right here. Bible is. Okay, so this is a resource that has been in the development for many years. They had the New Testament translated, and the kind of translation, if you understand the translation process at all, it takes a long time. Anybody that does a translation in a year it's not good material, right? Bible translation takes years and years, sometimes 10 to 20 years when they're going from one language to another. And the bigger disparity between the languages, the longer it takes, of course. And of course, ASL, how much disparity is there between English and ASL? It's huge. It's a huge difference between the two languages. And so these guys took 20 years just to do the New Testament. Now that they have a better format, things are moving along a little more quickly. They're using concepts they use there in the Old Testament, but now almost the whole Bible is translated. You can get it on your phone. I have it on my phone. It's not working right now because my phone is not working, but it is a great app. It comes real clear on your phone. I love it. It really gives just great models. And the translation, remember, whenever you're doing a translation, you're going from its original text to its target language. And so original text in the Bible is going to be Hebrew for the Old Testament and Greek for the New Testament. So they're going from Greek to ASL. It's not going from Greek to English to ASL, which is what we all do, right? It's going Greek to ASL. And there's a big difference between translation and interpretation. These are actually translations. So sometimes you're going to see things in the ASL Bible that you think, I could have interpreted better than that. But it's not an interpretation. It's a translation, which is a very, very different process. The words of the original language and the words of the target language have to be a lot closer. You can't go, you just can't do that. But you can in interpretation because you're doing more than just translating. You're really giving meaning. You're doing dynamic equivalence. You don't do that in translation. So, and so when you go through that process, you have Hebrew experts, linguists, and this entire scholarly group of people who are really doing these amazing translations, and it comes up with this. Let me see if there's one particular area of this that I want to focus on, and I just want to give you one moment. Hold on. This is a story about King Herod. And King Herod, as some of you may recognize the name, was there was a King Herod when the time when Jesus was born, and he was looking for Jesus to, get him out of the picture because he didn't want a new king coming in. Then there's this other Herod that's much later, and this is the one that they're talking about. This particular Herod was at a particular setting where there he was sitting on his throne, and he was giving this great oratory, and everybody said, wow, you don't talk like a man, you're like God, right? And so the word that I am looking for, and it's just taking an awful long time to load. Oh no! Come on! I see it behind. Oh, this is a language filter. Wait a second. I don't want the language filter. Here we go. Okay. So let me get to the right verse. Okay. So, everybody see that? Hold on. I'm just going to move on. On an appointed day. Here we go. We're on verse 21. Okay. On an appointed day, Herod put on his royal robes, took his seat on the throne, and delivered an oration to them. And the people were shouting, the voice of a God, and not of a man. So the audience is saying, wow, Herod, you've got the voice of a God, not like of a man. It says, immediately the angel of the Lord struck him down because he did not give God the glory. And he was eaten by worms and eaten by worms. Okay, so, and then he was eaten by worms and it was all that, right? But what I want you to focus on in this particular sentence is he says, because he did not give God the glory. Okay, so I want you to focus on that as we look at the translation. Hold on, let's see if I can switch now. Yeah, maybe. Let's see if it'll do it for me. And go. Do we turn off the light? Just briefly. Yeah, that's good. Oh, you know what? I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. This goes all the way. Okay, this is close. He's talking about where they are. He was angry with those people. And then they went to go see Herod. Okay. 2 more seconds here. I'll show you where we're going to start. On this day, on this special day, on the appointed day, voice is not like a man. It's like a God himself. See that sign right there? Mm-hmm. And he fell over, and the worms ate. Okay, so you don't want to see the rabbit. So, so anyways, but the point is that in the translation here, did you get a chance to see that? You did. Okay, all right, great. I just want to double check. So in the translation, they said because he did not give the glory to God. So instead, he should have had people. But what did he do? That sign right there, because he did not give the glory. So see how important it is that we don't get stuck on these signs. You know, we think that he did not give the glory to God. That's not what glory is. And I don't even like the sign, right? There's lots of different ways to say glory. But the point is that oftentimes in translations, you have resources like this at your fingertips. You realize your whole world just opens up on various concepts to interpret, because at the end of the day, so
is this app? Do you have it on your PowerPoint?
I have it on my. No, I don't have it on my PowerPoint. But this particular website is. I'll send you because I couldn't embed them in my PowerPoint.
Oh, okay.
But I'll forward you all of the things.
This one I've never seen.
This one is created by Definitions, but they have it running through a different venue called Bible Is or Bible.is or something like that. So I'll get that to you guys for sure. So that's just an example of, you know, when I'm really struggling with a text, I just go to here. Now, is it wise for me just to copy everything they do? No. I still have to work on my process, but there's a whole lot of good stuff on here that I can definitely take away. So that's one of the resources.